phenom Vitor Belfort. Also that very evening, Anderson the Spider Silva, the former UFC middleweight champion of the world, will go head-to-head against the former UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, the Huntington Beach bad boy Tito Ortiz. Also a part of that card, it'll be Andy Vencetz matching up against Joan O'Carroll. And this one just got announced. It is known as Battle of Brothers. It features the former unified cruiserweight champion of the world and former heavyweight champion of the world. He's been away from the ring for over 3 years, but making his return to the squared circle, the haymaker, David Haye, will go head-to-head against the billionaire, the undefeated Joe Fournier. Now, we got something special for the British fight fans, as we will go live at 11 o'clock British Standard Time with a preview. Then at midnight, we go live with the pay-per-view with Triller Fight Club, and it'll start off with the fight featuring David Haye and Joe Fournier. Now let's meet the two men that'll be involved in this respective matchup. First of all, this man has an undefeated record of 9-0. He's coming off of a win over Ray Khan back on April 17th on the undercard of Jake Paul Ben Askren's victory. And you know what? This guy, he comes out to fight. He's in very good shape. Does he necessarily need to do this? No, but he wants to test himself. And lo and behold, he has a very tall task ahead of him on September 11th. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the billionaire, Joe Fournier. Joe.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for the incredible welcome.
Well, how you feeling, Joe? I mean, obviously this is something that, kind of got put together. We'll dive into the origins of it, but, how are you feeling? You're taking on your friend in David Haye. I don't know if you guys are friends or former friends, however that may go, but, what's your thought process heading into this fight against David Haye?
Well, I mean, it's a colossal challenge, but I got into the boxing for my own sake, for my mental health. I wasn't trying to kind of compete with anyone else but myself. And as it's gone on, I've got some accolades. I became WBA international champion, number 10 in the world. Before I took a small break from boxing, and then the blood started flowing when I came back last time. And I actually haven't stopped training since the Raycon fight. Relatively, in reflection, it was an easier fight, but I didn't want people to say I only take easy fights. So I've now upped it probably about 100 levels. And I've asked David to share the ring with me.
Well, let's meet the man that you're going to be standing across the ring from. I mean, when I look into this guy's career, he's one of the most celebrated British champions in recent memory, a 16-year professional career, a 28-4 record with 26 big wins coming by way of knockout. He and Evander Holyfield are the only undisputed cruiserweight champions, and also they would go on to become heavyweight champions of the world. Incidentally, he would capture the heavyweight championship of the world by beating a man in Nikolai Valuev, who was 11, almost a foot taller than him, and outweighed him by 100 pounds or more. This guy has thrilled fight fans all over the world. He's been away from the ring for over 3 years, and we welcome him back with open arms. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former undisputed cruiserweight champion and former heavyweight champion of the world from London, David the Haymaker Haye. David, welcome back.
Thank you very much, and what a hell of an announcement you gave me there. It's amazing. It's good to be getting back in the squared circle. I've been away for a long time, and when Joe, a good friend of mine, baited and put the challenge out there to me, I sort of dusted it off to start off with. I didn't believe he was really serious. I thought, surely not. But maybe the rounds that we sparred, maybe he sort of saw something there which gives him confidence. But as far as I'm concerned, this is I'm doing this for myself, and getting back into the gym every day, twice a day, watching the nutrition. I'm a healthy guy. I look after myself. Ever since I retired from competitive boxing, you wouldn't be able to tell that I wasn't still actively boxing, as I'm, health and fitness and well-being is a big part of my life. So when this challenge was put to me by Joe, I felt I felt ready. I felt good. You know, I had, you know, I lost my last 2 competitive boxing matches against Tony Bellew. My penultimate fight was, you know, definitely hindered by a snapped Achilles tendon. I had to recover that before the rematch, and before that rematch, I snapped my left bicep, came off the bones. So I had to recover that before the fight, and then obviously when I'm in there taking the punches from the WBC cruiserweight champion, it felt as though my time was over. It felt like my time was gone, and I announced my retirement not long after that final bout of mine. But that was 3 years ago, and I've stayed away from the boxing elements of training. I train, I'm in a gym, I do weight training, I do sprints, I do all the training except the punching side. And because I know my personality, I know once the juices start flowing, I start going. And this opportunity, strangely, has really got the juices flowing. You know, I feel physically, you know, very, very young. You know, going into my last 2 bouts against Tony Bellew, I feel I am in physically better condition. My Achilles is healed, my biceps healed. I can do the things in training I was avoiding doing back then. So unfortunately for Joe, I know he's banking on my body failing, but he's picked me at the wrong time. He should have picked me, you know, a couple of months after my last defeat. It had much better chance back then.
Now, David, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to leave it up to David first, and then Joe, you can go ahead and piggyback off this. But you know, the origins of this fight, it stemmed from when you guys were on the Greek island of Mykonos. You guys are hanging out, and a woman says, you know, hey, you know, could you fight him? I mean, can you kind of dive into detail? Because from what I gather, it stemmed from a woman who said, hey, you know, who would win out of both of you? And then David, you kind of thought it was like, you know, are you serious? And Joe said, well, I would beat him, and he didn't even think twice about that. So can you guys provide context about how this happened?
Well, first there was a bunch of people at dinner, and you know, we're all friends. We're chopping up. We're having some fun, eating some food, having some drinks. And a girl, obviously, she's not a boxing fan, but she's aware that obviously Joe's a competitive boxer, and everybody knows that. I'm a former boxer who's now retired. This girl doesn't know me, but she's made aware, oh, David used to box. So she just asked a reasonable question, oh, who would win out of used to? We've seen similar sizes. And I said, you know, out of respect, as he's an active boxer, I said, maybe a draw, you know, maybe we'll be close. You're just trying to just diffuse the question and move on. But Joe, obviously, a few tequilas, he's like, nah, not now. Maybe back in the day, yeah, but now it's my time now. I'm the active fighter. You're retired. Your legs snapped, your shoulders snapped. You right, today I win, but back then I'm like, whoa, slow down, seriously. And that's where it started. And he even the next day when I said, dude, what's up with that? He was like, no, I would beat you. Just us two, no hype, no one else around. He went, no, seriously, I would beat you. So I then said, okay, before we were friends, before we get, before it gets a bit too spicy, let's go to the gym and put some sparring gloves, head guard. I'll show you exactly the levels of both of us. He's like, no, if I'm going to get in the ring with you, I'm going to get in the ring with you under the real lights with the fans watching. I want my kids to see what I'm going to do. And I was like, and then fast forward a few weeks, and here we are doing a press conference prior to the Staples Center where the Lakers play. Oscar De La Hoya, one of my all-time heroes. Triller, you've got Tito Ortiz, Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort. It's like, this is a crazy, impressive collection of musicians and fighters from boxing and mixed martial arts, all mixed together on one epic night. And myself and Joe are chucked in there as well. So it's, everything happens for a reason, and the stars and moon aligned where we had this bit of argument and there's this big mega event happening, and here we are. So it's given me the little boxing bug back. The training's gone very, very nice. And unfortunately for Joe, we've done some training sessions together. We played basketball together. Yeah, he can beat me at basketball. One-on-one basketball, he wins pretty easy. But this is boxing. I believe I win this fight very easy.
Joe, can you tell us when you went ahead and said, I would beat him, and then that happened the night before, and then you doubled down on that essentially, and you go, no, I will really beat you. What came into your mind in the sense that, I mean, you guys are both competitive, you guys are both professional fighters, but in terms of doubling down on that prediction that you'd be able to beat the former cruiserweight heavyweight and the former heavyweight champion of the world in David Haye? You can unmute yourself, Joe. There you go.
Hey, so I'm a businessman, right? And if I find a depreciating asset, I snap it up and I use it to my advantage. I have a guy in front of me that has had probably more injuries than I've had relationships. And that's not saying much, actually. and then he, last time he won was 11 years ago, world title. That's 11 years, a long time. He's in his 40s. I see the way he walks. He tells me this Achilles injury is gone in the past, but I've seen him walk. I was there. I was in the changing room when his Achilles had snapped, right? I'd seen the bicep come off. I've been in the ring sparring with him coming back from that. And I know the difference between when I sparred him before Belly 1 and I sparred him before Belly 2. It was two different people I was competing with. Now, fast forward, 4 more years go by. I stayed active. I'm still fighting. I'm still sparring, and he hasn't picked up a glove. Give him 4 weeks. For me, that's like, if you're all the boxing people out there, the time you win a championship or you win a big fight where you're the underdog is when the guys come off knockouts, right? So he's come off 2 knockouts, he's come off huge injuries, and he hasn't boxed in a while with very short notice to prepare. If I'm ever going to compete with a heavyweight world champion, this is the perfect scenario for me. So go back 15 years, am I going to fight David Haye at cruiserweight? Hell no. But as a businessman, same way I wouldn't buy Manhattan real estate in the peak of it. But right now, I don't think he's at his peak. I see him on a huge slide and I'm on the way up and we're crossing paths. And, I know that his ego finds it hard because he's a champion. He's a trained killer. That's all he's ever done. Even in sparring, I'm watching, you see the videos of him sparring Deontay Wilder and he don't play. So you get in the ring, 30 seconds, he hits you with overhand right. I know that's what David does, right? And I can see a super aggressive David Haye, and I'm already aware. I know exactly what I'm getting into. But for me, this is going to be a relatively easy fight because, as Tony Bellew said it really clearly, David goes too tight. He's going to come out there, and he ain't going to play. Well, I know that, right? So if you know someone's strategy, it's easy to prepare for it. But can his body hold up for 8 rounds? Right? Can he stay there? Is that other bicep going to go? Is that other Achilles going to go? Because this is David. It's like you see him even walking around. He's got abs popping out of his ears. If this was a modeling contest, I'd have no chance. But it's a boxing show. And at the end of the day, he's on the slide. I'm on the way up and I'm going to shock the world. And no disrespect to his accolades. Don't get me wrong. I'll never achieve what David's achieved. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in this precise moment in time, I have the better hand. Same way if I have a full house and you got a pair of aces, at that moment, I'm a better poker player than you because I win that hand. And that's all it is.
All right. Well, at this time, we're going to open it up to the media for questions. Again, this is for the British audience. This is an announcement for the British audience. We go live at 11 o'clock British Standard Time with a preview. Following that, at midnight British Standard Time, we go live with Triller Fight Club pay-per-view, Legends 2, Anderson Silva, Oscar De La Hoya, and also Vitor Belfort, Anderson Silva against Tito Ortiz. David Haye, Joe Fournier will begin the pay-per-view. So make sure to join us on September 11th on Triller Fight Club pay-per-view. Bernie Barmazal, our esteemed publicist, will go ahead and call upon you. If you have questions, when he calls upon you, unmute yourself and then ask David Haye and Joe Fournier questions. Bernie, take it away.
Thank you, Ray. Our first question comes from Jeremy Heriches from Fansided. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Hi, David. Hi, Joe. Quick question for David. Obviously, you've been out of the sport for a while. Is this something that you consider to be a one-off, or is this something that you could see continuing into kind of like a second win for your career?
To be brutally honest, this whole thing was a one-off. This whole thing, in my mind, was 5 weeks of training. Because when I train, I go chip sim in my training. My nutrition's on point. Everything's, I don't leave any stone unturned. And it takes, I've cancelled, my family are in Marbella on a family holiday. I was supposed to be there with them now, but I've put my family holiday vacation on hold because that wouldn't allow me to prepare as best as I can do for this bout. So I know every session I've done, it's been an improvement on the prior session, and I can feel myself continually improving in a way which I haven't felt this fresh for a long time. My legs have never felt this fast. My timing seems like it's feels like the good old days. Maybe that's because I've had a lot of time out. Maybe because I haven't punched for so long. You remember the injuries that I have had in the past. Instead of just doing the rehabilitation for instance, when I snapped my Achilles tendon during my first fight with Tony Bellew, I didn't just do the rehabilitation for my Achilles. I had to start training for not only when the doctor said it would take 6 months for it to be healed. I'd scheduled a fight for 6 months after that point. So I'd have to do my training whilst healing. And there's never been a time in my life where I've been able to just stop hardcore training and just do the type of training that keeps me healthy, that keeps me supple, that keeps me strong. And if there was ever a time to, when you see me in the ring, when you see the way I move, when you see how I feel, I think, there's definitely going to be people who will say, well, okay, why can't you continue boxing? Why can't you continue at the top level? Although this fight isn't, a world title fight, it's me preparing and getting in the ring at the Staples Center under the lights. It's a big occasion. It's a huge occasion. Even if I wasn't fighting on this show, I'd be paying to watch the show. The show is going to be a fantastic event. And I'm a big event fighter, always have done. And it's really got the juices flowing. So maybe depending on how I can't go by the training camp, because the training camp prior to Tony Bellew's, my last 2 fights felt good. And I felt very confident that I was going to win the fight and move on to a world title fight. It didn't happen. So I'm not going to make any unnecessary predictions that, yes, I'm going to make a comeback. No, I feel better than I have done in training. But when that first bell rings, I'm aware anything can happen. So I'm just going to focus on Joe Fournier, on performing the best I can. And depending on how that goes, I'll then make some future plans. But at the moment, I'm not thinking past, September 11th.
Similar question for Joe. Final question from me. Joe, obviously you had a break in your career for a number of years. Do you see this fight as a penultimate to bigger and better things moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm also 38, so only a couple of years younger than David. And I feel like this is my time now. I've really put a consistent 2 years back into training full time. And I beat David in this fight, and I dominate like I think I will and I can. I think that the next fights for me will be big fights because, historically people say, well, you pick and choose your fighters, or they don't have great records or whatnot. But you can't doubt David's pedigree and heritage, and I'm going up 2 weight divisions, so I've made it as hard as I could possibly make it, besides a direct unification world title against, Dimitri Bivol or Anthony Joshua or someone like that. So I've found the hardest fight I could take, and I've taken it. Off the back of that, I believe when people see my performance, if people see the level that I'm performing at, they will understand that I'm ready for the big fights now and ready to fight for titles again.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jeremy. Our next question comes from Kugan Cassius. Go ahead, Kugan.
Hi, David. Hi, Joe.
Hi, buddy.
Mr. Cassius.
Hello. question to both of you, really. Can you, either of you, make any comment on speculation that you both have actually had a serious falling out unrelated to what you two have been talking about today?
I think I'll answer this one first. I think when you know you're going to get in a ring with a guy like David, who only understands one programming, which is alpha male, get him out there as quick as possible. It's hard to be friends because, you know, I'm training to do what he's trying to do to me, right? So we've kind of put our friendship on hold, I would say is fair. And we'll see we'll see how it is after the fight. But for now, I'm not hanging out with David. I'm not calling him. I'm not trying to be his buddy. I'm trying to move on my path and shock the world.
David?
Yeah, you put friend. I've boxed friends before. I've boxed people I've been super cool with before, and it hasn't really affected my performance. You know, I don't see it any different as you get two brothers, literally blood brothers, playing football with each other. One's on one team, one's on the other team. They're not going to tackle each other any softer. You know, if anything, they're going to tackle even harder. You know, you have that the camaraderie, you know, of your teammates, and you want to prove that, you know, you're doing it for yourself. And boxing is the ultimate loner sport. You're in there on your own, and you got no friends when you're in there, and you just got to do whatever you need to do to get to do what you believe, you know, is what you're trained, what is going to happen. And you know, whether we're best buddies, whether we hate each other, the performance will be exactly the same. I've learned to sort of disconnect my emotions to someone's personality as a human being. This is an athletic performance. You know, if we was running against each other in a 100-meter sprint, whether he's my best buddy or whether I hate him, I'm not going to run any quicker. No, my style is you do what you're trained to do. And you know, emotions about friendships is sort of put on hold, as Joe said. You put that on pause. We do what you got to do. It's only a few weeks. Afterwards, hopefully he'll still speak to me afterwards. Yeah.
But David, you'll be actively, like, full blown trying to knock Joe Fournier out.
You just tune in and see. You know, I find it very difficult. You know, I'm a professional boxer who's been doing this since I was 10 years of age. You know, I can, when that bell rings, you know, I've been through every situation, every scenario that there possibly is. And, you know, I've rarely been in a situation when I've not been able to, you know, do what I'm born to do. And, you know, I know my experience, you know, is so much more than what, although I've assisted Joe over the years. We sparred a hell of a lot of rounds together. And when we was sparring, it was in my mind that I'm heavier than him. But, you know, if it wasn't for the sparring session, here's an interesting point. If it wasn't for the sparring sessions we had, I might not have been taking this fight as seriously as I am, if that makes sense. I'm really fortunate that I have sparred with him because I know about his punch power. He's heavy-handed. He can punch. There's a reason why he's got a 100% knockout ratio. You know, I've seen him knock people out in sparring lots of times. I've seen him, I've seen him spar with Chris Eubank Jr., with, you know, James DeGale. He's mixed it up with very good world level operators. And I'd be stupid to go in there thinking, he's not a real boxer. No, he is a real boxer. I've been there with him as he's been doing a real boxer. I've used him as a sparring partner. So I'm fortunate for that. So I see Joe a lot more seriously than everybody else sees him. When everyone comes to me, yeah, he's no good, you'll do this and that, I'll say, yeah. But I know I have to be in shape. I know I have to train. My head work needs to be good. Speed needs to be on point. And that's why I'm pushing myself so hard. So when that first bell rings, you're going to see, I'm hoping the David Haye, the Haymaker, who isn't hampered with injuries and dragging his back foot along, you know, you'll see a fleet-footed, speedy Haymaker.
Just the final one to Joe. Joe, can you just? And are you going to try and actively knock David out?
I'm hoping we see the Haymaker and Belly One dragging his foot behind him. and make it easy night's work for me, Cougs.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dugan. Our next question comes from Cynthia Conte from Ring Magazine. Go ahead, Cynthia. Cynthia, can you hear me?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. This question is for both of you gentlemen. First, David, you just said that Joe is very heavy-handed. What other tools in his arsenal are going to be the strongest tools? The strongest tools in his arsenal that we'll see September 11th.
I think his biggest is in order of his skills is his punch power first, his chin. I've never seen him decked. I've hit him some good shots. I've never buckled his legs before. I buckle most people's legs when I spar with them. So his durability, his toughness. He's got a good jab, a pesky jab, a good double jab, right hand to the body, throws nice. He's got a big overhand right, but I believe I'll be able to see, and I know his weapons, and I'm not going to fall into the trap thinking I'm fighting a light heavyweight. I know I've seen Joe jump on the scales, and we both weigh the same. He's around 90. He's around 90. He weighs about the same as I do. So I know how hard it is for him to get down. He's only made. It's been a very long time since he's made the light heavyweight limit. So I'm not thinking in my mind I'm fighting a light heavyweight. I know he's a solid cruiserweight. He'll be over cruiserweight on this occasion. So I'd say his punch power, his durability. He's got a decent jab if I allow him to use it, which I won't. So I think there is two main strengths.
And Joe, same question to you. Besides David's haymakers that we all know about, what do you find will be his strongest tool in his arsenal that you'll be encountering?
I think I haven't when I sparred him. I found that just the size was very intimidating in the ring. You know, I remember jabbing him once, and kind of my hand hurt probably more than his arm did. But like I said, that was a long time ago. Things have changed now. I've got bigger. I've got stronger. I'm on the right weights program. So I think, yeah, look, he's got knockout power that's knocked out massive, huge heavyweights. So I got to be really patient in this fight, and I got to really take my time. And as we know, like I said, as Tony Bellew said it, when he gets into deep water in the later rounds, David is a different fighter because that explosive ATP anaerobic power does deplete. And, you know, in the first 3 rounds, David still, I believe, is the most dangerous fighter in boxing, full stop. I think in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, I think that's where things will change and kind of turn in my favor. So I'm going to keep my hands up. I'm going to stay disciplined. I'm definitely not going to try and walk into one of those haymakers. But that pesky jab is going to get irritating round after round. And I'm putting in the work to be able to keep my legs under me, to stay fleet-footed throughout the whole fight. And yeah, it'd be very unintelligent with me to mix it up with a guy that, although, yeah, we have weighed in the same weights before. That was after a really fun summer in Mykonos, me eating gyros, not necessarily of lean muscle like David has. So now it's a whole different situation. I am 2 divisions lower. So I need to work on my strength, which is speed, footwork. And yeah, I have a good chin, but I'm not trying to test it out anytime soon on one of David's overhand rights. So yeah, I just be annoying, be difficult, you know, take him away from his game plan, which is to kind of corner me and bludgeon me. You know, take that away, take that game away, get him to use the things that he hasn't been good at using recently with all his injuries. You know, that Achilles isn't going to hold up 8 rounds with him trying to chase me around the ring. You know, is his bicep going to hold up, keeping it tensed up? Is his neck going to hold up? You know, there's a lot more injuries that I know about than the rest of the media knows about. So I'm quietly confident you guys are going to be really surprised at the way this fight's going to go. And yeah, he's dangerous in the first 3 rounds. I'm going to have to really stay sharp. If I lose any second of concentration, it could end very, very badly for me. I'm aware of that. I'm working on that. And this is about mental toughness. And it's also about, you know, for me, this is achieving greatness. This is my unification world title fight if I'm ever going to have one, right? So I'm taking this as seriously as anything I've ever seen. I've seen David lay loads of people out in sparring with 16-ounce gloves on headgear that have 30 pounds on me. So there's an element of fear, but I feel that fear brings pressure, and I work very, very well under pressure. So I'm really excited for it. And like David said, I would buy this fight myself because I really want to know how it's going to end.
I really do love how both of you have pretty much stated how both of your game plans are for each other. And Leslie, is this a sanctioned bout? Because I'm not sure if it was sanctioned yet, or is it an exhibition as of right now?
I'm not, for me, whatever the rules are going to be the rules. I'm coming in to do what I got to do. I have a game plan, and that's not going to change regardless of the rules, gloves, whatever time. It's irrelevant to me.
You just want to fight. All right.
I don't want to fight. Let's get it on.
All right,
Woo!
gentlemen. Good luck to you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Again, for the international media joining us on this virtual press conference, if you have a question for either David Haye or Joe Fournier, please use the raise hand function and I will call on you. Our next question comes from Jonathan Nagyoff. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Cheers, Bernie. Hi, guys. Jonathan here from Pro Boxing Fans. First of all, to David, are you in some ways more motivated for this one than some of your previous fights, given you're fighting, a close friend of yours? And do you feel like there's, in a way, some of your legacy at stake here, or do you not see it that way?
It's an interesting question. I thought about, I remember watching Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. I did the commentary for that for the UK feed on BT Sport, and I remember that I got butterflies when they were both coming to the ring, and seeing the, my heroes going up there and performing way past their prime, way past their prime. It was, I was remember thinking, this, there's something about it. Then you look back at, fighters like George Foreman, 45 years of age, coming back to beat Michael Moorer. I remember that one. I remember his amazing fight with Evander Holyfield. That he lost a very close fight there. And, certain fighters peak late. Some of them, have their time. And I'm unaware, I honestly don't know what is left. I know in the gym when I've been training recently, and I haven't been training that long. I train every day, train an hour every day, but I've never really, I've never, been in a situation like this before, where I've been out for so long, and now here I am coming back to get in the ring at a Staples Center on such a big event on such short notice. There is pressure to look good. The last thing I want is to look terrible. I'm not sure what the press and the media and the fans are going to think I'm going to look like. Hopefully I look and resemble something like I was once before, resembling what I looked like in my last 4 comeback fights. I don't believe, maybe the first one was a first round knockout. Second one was, I think it was a second round knockout. But my last 2 against world level opposition, Tony Bellew, who's a WBC cruiserweight champion, I think that showed where I was at that time. And at that time, I wasn't good enough to beat Tony Bellew, who was the cruiserweight world champion. Would I be good enough today? Am I worse than I was then, or am I better? It's completely unknown. Whoever's in the other corner, Joe Fournier, your question was, is there more at stake? Whoever is in the opposing corner, it's irrelevant. This is not about who I'm fighting. This is about me going through the process of training for a boxing match. Getting used to taking the punches. My body's aching, my shoulders, my legs, my calves, my ankles, my neck. I'm doing the types of training I haven't done for a long time. But I'm enjoying it. I enjoy waking up and hobbling to the shower in the morning, and then the shower warming me up to get back down there to the gym and train some more. I like that feeling. It's been a long time since I've had that, but I think this fight is going to be a spectacle, and it's going to be an education because I know Versus and Triller. There's a very young demographic who tune into this platform. And I think they're going to see some amazing, some of the old boys, Oscar De La Hoya, he's in his early 50s now. But, these kids might not have seen him in his prime, but he's one of the greatest to ever do it. As a teenager, I was a massive fan, still am, of Oscar De La Hoya, and to see him. And then, even my kids, my daughter's 11, my eldest son, Cassie's is 13. I won the world title 12 years ago. This, daddy's, what daddy did was a long, long time ago. And it's nice for them to see me going through the process of preparing for a fight, and getting back out there and doing my thing. So it's for me, it's irrelevant whether I'm fighting, Joe Fournier or whoever it is in the other corner. This is all about, in my mind, it's all about me, how I can motivate myself, how I can get through training, and get in the ring in tip-top shape, with the ability to be explosive, be dynamic, and be able to do what I've always done, as I wasn't able to do that in my last couple of fights. But since these few weeks I've been working out, doing the specific boxing training, it feels very different to my last few fights, from my prior comeback fights. Maybe because there was no pressure recently to continue training, so I've just allowed everything to rejuvenate and recover. And I feel like a brand new man. But I've still got 3 more weeks of training, and I've still got to get in the ring under the lights, and I've still got someone undefeated throwing punches at me with mean intentions. So after the fight, we'll be able to see exactly where I am.
Just one for Joe, if I can. Joe, you said sort of, you don't think this is the same David Haye of 10 years ago, which is fair enough, but he has the more experience, obviously, at world level. How do you bridge that gap? Is there a way you've been able to do that through sparring, do you think? I think you're on mute.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
John.
I said, hey, yeah. I said, yeah, I've been working with some bigger guys in sparring. I'm working on some slightly different strategies as you would do fighting a guy my size and my height. I think I give 3-4 inches to David. So the strategy of getting inside and getting under his long kind of low hanging jab has been something we've been working on really well. And I think that world level experience. There's not many fighters out there that have more world level experience than David. So under the lights, I know he's going to be incredible. I know I'm going to be the one with the butterflies. But, I've also fought, I fought in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Arena. I fought the O2 Arena, actually in the UK, in front of all my home fans. So I feel like the nuances that you pick up being a legend like David, yes, I don't have those, and I'm not going to get them in 3 weeks. I just preparing a game plan, which means that I'm not even going to be having that conversation with him, because if I get into that with him, I'm going to lose. I'm going to go away from David's strengths and go to my strengths. I'm going to let David try and do his game plan. I'm going to do mine. And I'm going to stick to it. Because remember, I was a basketball player. We ran plays. This is exactly what I'm going to do in this fight. I have a specific play and I have a specific game plan. And if I stick to that game plan, I'm 100% confident I'm going to win this fight. If I veer away and get into 50-50s with David Haye, mixing it up in the middle of the ring in the first 45 seconds, it's going to be we might hurt the moneymaker, as they say in England.
Everyone's got a game plan till they get punched in the face. Remember that one.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Excellent quote,
That's
David.
true. So the plan is to get punched in the face as little as possible.
Our next question comes from Jose Matos. Go ahead, Jose.
Hello, it's Jose Matos from Critical Condition Sports. My first question is for David. David, has your preparation been different heading into this fight from your previous boxing bouts?
Yes, it very much has been. Usually I'd take probably 12 to 15 weeks preparation for a 12-round contest, and that's just what I've done. The fact that this was sprung on me with 5 weeks preparation, it's allowed me to have a shorter preparation time, and strangely, that seemed to have worked for me to jump straight in. Normally, I do a bit of strength phase. I've been doing a lot of heavy lifting, then I'll turn it to power, then speed. So I don't have that luxury of time, which means I've just got to fast track everything. And by fast tracking everything, it feels like I've leapfrogged 6 to 8 weeks. I was fortunately in decent shape. It's not like, a lot of fighters need to lose sometimes 10, 15 pounds of that good life living weights that they accumulate, after a boxing match. But as I've said from the start, I live
don't be a hater.
Yeah, no, Joe, I'd like to consider myself a healthier liver than Joe. And talking of liver, my liver is pretty clean versus Joe. He's in the nightlife industry, owns restaurants and pubs and bars and beach clubs. So there's a lot of alcohol consumption in his daily routine, not as much in mine. And I think because I've lived a clean lifestyle since post-retirement, so that it allows me to, when it's time to start training, I can go straight into it. I can start running, I can start lifting, I can start punching at a good speed.
Dude, you're like RoboCop. You've been put together like 45 times.
Yeah, I've had
your liver. You probably have a steel liver. How do you get through security with all the screws in you, man?
Yes, I have had some reconstructive surgery over the years, but it's all healed up. It's all locked in now. Other than struggling to go through metal detectors, the meat that's laid over the top of the wired together structure is rock solid, unfortunately, for your good self.
Jose, did you have another question?
Yes. Now, my next question is for Joe. Joe, what is your goal in boxing?
Is to show in this fight that I belong in the ring with some really high-level fighters. Like I say, shock the world. And then move on to a real fight at my, in any division, really. If I can go from light heavyweight and perform at heavyweight, why not stay there? Go back down to cruiser or light heavy. I'm really open-minded, but I got to get through this challenge first, because if I don't get through this challenge, the rest is history. So I'm really laser-focused right now, but I know I can compete at this level. And I know the media doesn't necessarily always believe that, but then they haven't seen me behind closed doors. I've only competed who's in front of me at the end of the day. And I made a point to put one of the best ever in the history of boxing in front of me. And so now we're going to see. And like I said, it's not like he's 40 and I'm 25. He's 40 and I'm 38. There's 18 months age gap. So it's really like two guys in a similar age range really going at it. And if anyone's at disadvantage, it's me. His experience level is way above mine. I'm giving away 25 pounds. I'm giving away 4 inches, So if I can compete at this level, then people will understand, okay, yeah, this wasn't just some rich dude that's bought his way into boxing, because, I understand that that's not the way boxing works. A poor guy punches a rich guy in the face is irrelevant in the boxing gym, and I've been hit in the face a lot of times. And I know that money is irrelevant in this thing. That's why I fight for the passion, because I want the accolades to show my children one day, look, this is what daddy did. And so I've always said it, like, whether it's Raycon or David, I'm training the same, I'm fighting the same. And, I actually get more excited about the tougher bouts, but a lot of the times tougher opponents have avoided me. I called out Callum Smith. I even offered him a private jet if he fought me and buy him a house. He didn't want any of the smoke. There's a lot of people I've said, let's do this, back in the day when I was competing all the time, and they all avoid me because I'm a banana peel. I lose, you lost to the billionaire boxer, you're a scrub. I win, and then next thing I get catapulted up, but no one wants to take that risk. Let me go fight another guy that's in the top 10 ranking, because either way I can come back. Whereas you lose to me, your career's over, right? So I've always been pushed away and shied away because although I came from nothing, although I was a dishwasher, people see me as a rich dude, right? And they don't really allow me to express myself with the gloves on. So I always get pushed away from the big fights. And, I want to thank Triller to allowing this amazing experience for me now, because once I can prove that I belong at this stage, then it's going to be hard for other people to, turn a blind eye to me.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jose. Our next question comes from Ellie Sekback. Go ahead, Ellie.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? I got a question for David. If everything goes well and you're doing great, would you like to fight the winner of Joshua Usyk or the winner of Wilder Fury 3?
At this stage, I can't really start thinking about mentioning the Goliaths of the division. You know, I haven't done anything other than a couple of press conferences since my last 2 stoppage losses. So I think it'd be disrespectful to all 4 of those. You know, Usyk was a undefeated, undisputed cruiserweight champion who worked his way up to the #1 mandatory position to challenge Anthony Joshua's WBA, IBF, and WBO titles. And then you got Deontay Wilder, you know, in his 3rd match with Tyson Fury, you know, who's undefeated himself. So, you know, I can't mention their name, you know, off the strength of a couple of interviews that I've done, because that's technically all I've done since losing is have 3 weeks, you know, for 2 weeks of training, and you know, scheduled to fight Joe Fournier at the Staples Center on the Oscar De La Hoya, Vitor Belfort undercard, effectively. So yeah, I wouldn't want to mention any of those guys' names. Depending if I feel after the fight on September 11th something different, I'll be sure to let you know first thing. But as of right now, you know, I can't think of, you know, fighting one of these guys. All I'm thinking about is getting through the remaining 3 weeks of training in a healthy condition, in one piece, you know, not getting injured, you know, as a lot of the injuries I've received over the years have happened in preparation for a fight. You know, there's only a couple of fights I've been injured in the fight. So for me, it's the challenge of this whole event is to get to the ring in one piece. And Joe jokes about being RoboCop and having pins and stuff, and you know, and being held together. But I understand why that is, because you know, it is a tongue in cheek, but there's a bit of reality there that, you know, I can't train the same way as I did do when I was 30. I can't have, you know, 6 sparring partners doing 2 rounds in, 2 rounds in, 2 rounds in continuously. You know, that those days are over. I've got to be a lot more conservative and economical with my energy. You know, I've got to make sure my massage is on point. I've got to make sure my physiotherapist, my chiropractor, I've got to make sure my blood works neat and tidy. I've got to make sure my new hydration levels are optimal, my sleep patterns are optimal. There's so much that goes into making sure I get through the ropes on September 11th in one piece, healthy, ready to perform. I can't 1 second think a day past that, because if I do start thinking about some of these super duper names you mentioned, those 4 names are the big boys in the division. If I start thinking about them and take my eye off Joe Fournier, can you imagine the humiliation if I end up, you know, even looking bad there? That's a let alone, you know, I can't afford that to be remotely an option. You know, I need to give Joe Fournier a boxing education. I need to pack his lunchbox and take him to boxing school on September 11th, because anything other than that, you know, I'd be very, very upset.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ellie. We're going to take one last question and get these gentlemen back to their training. Last one's from Dylan Boker. Go ahead, Dylan.
Hey there. My first question here is for David, because you kind of just addressed the question in relation to the modern crop of heavyweight guys, but I'd also seen an article indicating potentially some level of interest in, you know, fighting Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, sort of teasing a comeback a little bit. Obviously, very focused on this fight here, but entertaining the hypothetical you get the ideal outcome. Could those sort of matches compel you to get out there for an additional bout?
I was asked about, you know, of all the living fighters, you know, who would, you know, you in an ideal world, who would you want to fight? And I believe, you know, Lennox Lewis is, you know, one of the greatest to ever do it. I can't see Lennox Lewis on his day, you know, losing to any heavyweight in history. I just think he's that good. So I said, if there was ever a heavyweight in history that I'd love to have, you know, mixed it up with, is Lennox Lewis. And, you know, I don't know, is he 50 or he's in his 50s? He doesn't. I haven't heard any talk of him or Evander Holyfield. He's probably another one of my all-time heroes. The only other fighter to have, you know, he let me know it's possible. He let me know the small guy, you know, can beat the big guy. You know, it's the size of the fight in the dog, not the size of the dog in the fight. And
exactly like this fight.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, exactly. You keep thinking like that, but you're a very different proposition to Evander Holyfield. You know, he is the real deal. Literally, is the real deal. Watching Tyson and Roy Jones do it. You know, I heard there's talk of Holyfield wants to do something similar, and he's, I haven't heard of Lennox Lewis, but just being, just to know that there's a version of our reality where these crazy matchups are happening now. It's exciting. But once again, I don't want to start thinking about dream matchups when if Joe is a big banana skin, a giant banana skin that I cannot slip over on whatsoever. I've got to sweep it up and put it in the trash. I can't step on it and fall on my butt.
Appreciate the insights. And just a quick follow-up to Joe here, if I could, because I was seeing an article going around saying that at one point you were training Jay-Z back in the day. And I'm kind of wondering, just with Triller's music-oriented platform, are we ever going to get the Jay-Z Joe Fournier kind of appearance? Maybe he walks you out sort of deal.
Oh man, I've seen so many articles going around. Let me just tell you that my musical career stops in the shower. But I do love watching all the versus stuff. I went to a live one in Miami and it was really incredible. So it's like I said it in the last fight, like just being a part of like the combination of music and bringing all these amazing cultures together, from Latinos to urban culture and sports and music. It's just cool for me being from Hounslow, which was a melting pot in London of different cultures, just to kind of continue to be, on these incredible shows, as David said. It's called Legends 2 for a reason. I'm humbled to be on the card. And like Oscar De La Hoya is like, wow, like he's one of the best ever in the history. And I just remember watching him thinking, holy hell, how do you get that good? So just to be able to be part of a show where I'm on the same poster, for me, like I said, is just really special. So yeah, the music element is a big part to me, but I'm a better fan than I am a performer.
Fair enough. Thanks for the insights, guys.
Thank you, Dylan. Ray, go ahead, please.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm glad Joe brought up the fact about, we have, boxing and legends and terrific young fighters, and then the musical aspect as well. And that comes from the brain trust of the CEO of Triller Fight Club, that being Ryan Cavan, along with Bobby Snarnovich and Snoop Dogg. He'll be involved as well. I mean, literally, the Staples Center is going to be rocking. Oscar De La Hoya, Vitor Belfort, Anderson Silva matches up against Tito Ortiz. You have Snoop Dogg performing that night. You got Joan O'Carroll matching up against Andy Vincent. And then the return of the haymaker, David Haye, against the billionaire Joe Fournier. Two friends that are going to go at it toe-to-toe on September 11th for the British fight fans. This is an announcement for you. 11 o'clock British Standard Time. We go live with the preview. Then at midnight, you can check out the pay-per-view. And we start off with Britain's own David Haye against Joe Fournier. Do not miss it. Before we let you guys go, final comments. And you know what? I want a prediction from the both of you. First of all, the billionaire himself, Joe Fournier. How's it going down September 11th, Staples Center here in Los Angeles?
I am going to shock the world.
David, your prediction, is he going to be able to accomplish that?
No, this is going to be a boxing masterclass. As I said, I'm going to pack Joe Fournier's lunchbox and take him to school.
My last question to you, David, is that people are wondering, are you going to go the distance with Joe Fournier? Or do you have it in your mindset to go out and get the finish?
Listen, people need to tune in and find out for themselves. It's going to be an education. Just believe that. You'll see.
He can't go the distance. That's the problem. His Achilles won't hold up.
Well, September 11th, we all find out. Joe Fournier, David Haye, thank you so much. We'll see you in Fight Week here in Los Angeles. And thank you so much to the media for joining us wherever they are around the world.